Hi, YouTube. Nice to see you. Thank you so much to those of you who messaged me and said, Tisha, we miss you. Your content is great and you're not putting it up every week anymore. I am sorry. The one thing I will say as an entrepreneur that I find really challenging sometimes is to be on all of the platforms all of the time, because as entrepreneurs we have our Instagram followers, we have our YouTube followers, we have our Facebook followers. I have my private group that I'm managing all the time, and I also have other projects. I'm running yoga retreats and teaching classes in the town that I live, so there's always just so much. I find it hard sometimes to be as consistent, but I recognize that there are people on YouTube who, for example, don't use Instagram or don't do Facebook. So I want to be able to reach everybody. So I am glad to be back. Thank you for the nudge. We do need those nudges. Sometimes we do need to feel appreciated sometimes, because that really, you need the nudge. Anyways, I received a question, and it's a fantastic question, and I think it's something that a lot of people will relate to, and it's also something I haven't really discussed before, at least on YouTube. So the question was, how to avoid binging after a stressful day of work or when traveling. So, how to avoid binging after a stressful day at work. When we are in a stressful situation, our body goes into what is called fight or flight mode, and our hormones change. The chemical reactions in the body that happen when you are stressed are real. Cortisol levels rise, adrenaline rises. When your cortisol is high, you are going to be more likely to seek out really high calorie and generally more junk type foods. When we are stressed, we don't usually go home from work and eat a salad and call it a night. When you are stressed, your body's natural response is, I need something to bring me down. When you eat super carby, fatty things when carbs and fats come together, it affects your brain almost like in this drug-like way. So it kind of produces all these endorphins, but it's not natural. We should feel good just because we enjoy our life and we have these routines that feel nourishing and grounding. We don't want to feel good only because we're getting high off of food or caffeine or alcohol or whatever it is we're doing to make ourselves feel better. That is not natural. So we want to keep a tab on that. That said, sometimes stress is unavoidable. And if somebody that you love dies, that is not something that you could control. So when you are in a stressful time, you need to recognize that it's exceedingly important at that time to take really good care of yourself. So if somebody dies and you're super stressed out, don't, on top of that, turn to caffeine or alcohol if you can't help it, or start, going to your CrossFit workout 6 times a week versus 3 times a week. All these things will only raise cortisol more. Caffeine, alcohol, excessive exercise, excessive dieting, all of these things raise your stress hormones. So if things are already stressful, you need to take extra care of yourself. Now, what happens though, often when we're in a really stressful time, we crutch on those things more. So for example, when I went through the ultimate stress of my life, which was losing my dad, I've talked to you guys about this before, this was 10 years ago now, but I was so stressed out, and I was having anxiety attacks and all the things. And at that time, what did I do? I controlled my food very tightly. I started working out even more than I already was. Anything to feel in control, right? But we need to be aware that coping mechanism only hurts us more, if not in that moment, down the road. So if you are going through stress, one thing I always recommend my clients, and something I do myself, is I up-level my self-care even more. That takes a certain amount of awareness. And if you haven't gone through a stressful time and self-sabotaged yourself at the same time, you may not have learned that lesson yet. So if possible, I would love to try to keep you from having to learn that the hard way. So when you are stressed out, if work is stressful, on your way home or as soon as you get home, Try to develop a routine of some kind that will help you to come down. So one thing that can work really well for people is as soon as you walk in the door, go straight to the shower and have a hot shower. And just like imagine that you're washing away the day. Imagine that you're washing away and cleansing away the stress. This is awesome as a little ritual that you can do. Another thing you could do is like to have some essential oils nearby that resonate for you. And when you're on your way home, or when you arrive in your home, before you go in the house, you could like rub some essential oils and just like breathe them in, lavender or some kind of calming essential oil. That's another type of routine you could do. You could try to find a yin yoga class to go to on your way home, or a meditation class, or you could adopt a meditation practice that you do, on the way home or something, so that you don't come in the door, still feel that stressed out state and go for the kitchen and emotionally eat, which is a thing. We've all struggled with it at times, myself included. Usually, it comes down to self-care. It's something that we do not prioritize in the day of age that we're living. And it's so important. It's the most important thing. It's the only thing that really helps you help other people and show up in the world as your highest self. You have to take care of yourself. So when stress happens, when it's unavoidable, you have to manage your life better. Because again, and I know I ramble, I'm going to try to wrap this up soon. There is some stress that's unavoidable. Relationship stress at times. Your friend sleeping with your boyfriend behind your back. Weird example. Your parent dying, your sister dying, whatever. Unavoidable. Take care of yourself and be gentle with yourself at that time. Avoidable stress. Crazy extreme diets. Over-exercising. Avoiding feeling things by, doing these excessive behaviors. Extreme lengthy fasting or whatever. There's some types of stresses that are just not necessary. Try to avoid those, especially if you're somebody who is susceptible to stress. I am susceptible to it. I have a sensitive system. I'm the Vata dosha, and I tend to, when things get stressful, I don't always handle it well. I'm a little bit fragile that way. And so I know that about myself, and so I choose to set up my life accordingly. So avoid the stress that you can avoid, and love yourself and be gentle with yourself at the times when things get rough. Reach out to somebody, call somebody, join my group and post in the group that you're struggling, and I will, try to be there for you. Other people will be there for you. You always have support around you. Take advantage of that. Now, the other part of this, how to avoid binging after a stressful day of work or when traveling. So when traveling, travel is a form of stress as well. I spent a good year and a half constantly traveling, and it was very stressful because I had no routine. I was on these long plane rides all the time, which there's a lot of toxicity in planes, and to do with the magnetic fields and all that. So traveling is a form of stress. So I would say the same thing on your travel day. Don't get a huge venti cappuccino and take that on the plane with you and then just sit there all caffeined out. We do these kinds of things as people, right? So just prepare accordingly. Pack some healthy food so you don't have to buy chips to take on the plane with you. Try to have the herbal tea instead of the caffeine. So do what you can to manage the stress. And if you're binging when traveling, not because of stress, it might just be because of not planning well. Lastly, the thing I'm going to say about binging is sometimes it's happening for a greater reason, like somebody has been excessively dieting for a long time, which really will upregulate your hunger over time. It's called extreme hunger, and it's a thing that happens when you have an eating disorder. So that's very real. So I always have to work with my clients, try to figure out, okay, why is the binging happening? Is it because you're starving yourself all day? Is it because you have a long history of yo-yo dieting? Is it happening because you're eating poorly combined meals throughout the day? I mean, there's so many things that come into this, but your question was specifically about stress. So that's my answer about that. I hope this has been helpful. as always. And I hope to connect with you guys here on this platform more often. If you would like to learn more from me on a daily basis, you can join my group. It's called Tisha's Group on Facebook. Send a request over to join, and I'll happily accept you, and you can post questions there anytime. I'm doing a live Q&A tonight in that group. If you happen to be watching this video today and want to jump in on the live, it's at 8 p.m. It's going to be specifically about all things hormones. So if you're struggling with some kind of hormone imbalance, jump on the call tonight at 8 p.m. For more from me, in addition to that, you can check out the links below this video. I'll link my website. I run yoga retreats in beautiful, amazing places. So if you'd like to come learn more about yoga and nutrition in paradise, I would also gladly have you for this. So have an awesome week, everybody. I hope this has been helpful to anybody who's struggling with binging. Up your self-care and really develop a routine. Routines are so wonderful for people. The morning routine, the evening routine, you're probably hearing a lot about this lately. It's for a reason. It really helps to make us feel grounded, to make us feel safe, and to keep our stress under control. Have an awesome day. See you soon.